Hello my friends and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Yesterday I made a video on an article showing a video with a Ukrainian prisoner of war being shot by what it appears to be some Russians for saying Slava Ukrainka, Ukrainska, Ukraina, glory to Ukraine, and he was shot and it was on video. And now we know who that guy is. They identified the poor guy as a 41-year-old Ukrainian, and they're looking for the perpetrators. Neither the Russian army nor Prigozhin's Wagner group claim responsibility for that. I don't think they would anyway. But anyway, let's read this article coming from the Telegraph. Today, the 7th of March 2023. So we have here, Ukraine identifies prisoner of war who declared glory to Ukraine moments before execution. Kiev identifies man as Timofey Shadura, a soldier from the 30th Mechanized Brigade who had been missing from around Bakhmut since March 6. This is the guy who was smoking a cigarette, and he said glory to Ukraine, and he got shot very fast, which tells me that he was at gunpoint when he was over here. But how he was smoking a cigarette and these guys allowed him to do that, I don't know, but let's see. The Ukrainian military has identified the Ukrainian prisoner of war who was gunned down in cold blood after saying glory to Ukraine in front of his Russian captors. The Ukrainian Defense Ministry on Tuesday identified a man as Timofey Shadura, a 41-year-old soldier from the 30th Mechanized Brigade who had been missing in fighting around Bakhmut in eastern Ukraine since March 3rd. Wasn't it March 6th? Yeah, now it's March 6th. Over here is March 3rd. Okay, whatever. Then how can I trust you that that's the right name? Anyway, that's the same, the exact. And I'm quoting, "The body of our soldiers is currently on the occupied territory," the ministry said. And I'm quoting again, "Conclusive identification will be held once the body is retrieved and goes through the necessary procedures." The commanders of the 30th Mechanized Brigade offered their condolences to the family of the soldier and pledged that, and I'm quoting, "revenge is inevitable," end quote. In footage shared on social media, the lone man is seen smoking a cigarette in a clearing in a forest while Russian guns are pointed at him. In his last moments, he defiantly says Slava Ukraini, end quote, the Ukrainian war motto before being shot to death in repeated bursts of gunfire. You're a female dog, whatever, you know what it is, right? The assailants are heard saying. Neither the Russian armed forces nor militants from the private military contractor Wagner has so far claimed responsibility for the killing. A Ukrainian journalist earlier on Tuesday said she spoke to 6 members of the killed soldier's family, who confirmed his identity but said they were not ready to go public yet. His sister said, and I'm quoting, "This is 100% my brother. There are his eyes, his voice, and that's how he always smokes his cigarette." I know people that you can identify them by their smoking cigarette stands. I have some family members and friends that you can tell who's who, what's what in the dark just by seeing their, profile. So Sofia Kochmar Timoshenko said, quoting the man's sister, "Mr. Kochmar confirmed it was Mr. Shadura after the defense ministry made the announcement." Zelensky, in his nightly address on Monday, pledged to find the perpetrators and bring them to justice. And I'm quoting him, "I want all of us to respond to those words together in unity, blah, 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 and we will find the murderers. Ukraine will not forget the feat of each and every one whose lives gave freedom to Ukraine forever. Ukrainians have taken to social media to post sketches of Mr. Shadura looking back at his captures with a cigarette in his mouth, with the Glory to Ukraine slogan. Dmytro Kuleba, the Ukrainian foreign minister, on Monday called on International Criminal Court to launch an immediate investigation into the footage. Ukraine's Prosecutor General's office on Tuesday said it would pursue war crimes charges in the case. Well, I hope they do, and I hope that each and every individual who could be identified and proven that he's committed war crimes or any kind of crimes should be punished. I'm all for that. And since I'm all for that, I would also suggest, to go back and get all of them. Okay, all of them, meaning even the ones from the war in Yugoslavia. They're still alive. And we know who they are because they gave the orders. And I'm not trying to change the subject. I think that guy is in front of death. He showed, calm and, how should I put it? He knew what was coming, it seems. I don't think he expected a different outcome from that statement. But I don't know. I don't want to praise the guy. I don't want to, say anything bad about the guy. It's just better to die hit by a car, I guess. Let's put it this way. And I don't know how he was captured. I know the circumstances, why he was captured. Why wasn't he fighting for Ukraine? Didn't he have ammunition anymore? I mean, if you're such a... I don't know what he expected by saying that, other than being shot by those guys, which they're definitely criminals doing that. But by that video, we don't know anything what happened before to assess. But he was shot, and for saying that, definitely these guys are criminals. There's no doubt around it or about it. As I mentioned in my previous video regarding this issue, I do not know the circumstances that got that point, but he got shot for saying that. He did not get shot because these guys caught him in the act of doing something that could, I don't say require, but I mentioned this in my previous video. I think it was the counteroffensive in Ardennes of the Americans, and then the Germans tried to stop them with one last try, and they infiltrated English-speaking Germans behind the front, trying to cause panic in the Americans and British and all that, redirecting columns and all that, and some of them were caught. And I was mentioning Otto Skorzeny, if you remember Otto Skorzeny. If not, watch the other video or check him out on YouTube or on whatever sources of information you got. Wikipedia, you find him. And the Germans, dressed in Allied military uniforms, captured by the Americans. I think they were killed on the spot. So that, I don't know if it's still valid, that procedure, but I know you're just shot on the spot if you are caught with the enemy's, attire and impersonating an officer or whatever. So I don't know if here, that's why I'm not trying to get any responsibility off of those guys that shot him. I'm just saying that if he would have been caught like those guys in Ardennes, I think that he would have been caught before saying that. You know what I mean? But that obviously the statement angered these guys, and they did it just because of that. So I don't know what happened before. Anyway, If he was just shot, let's say prisoner of war, I think he's a hero. He's a very courageous guy. He's definitely could be a symbol of Ukraine for time to come. I can't look at it differently. I mean, I'm not going to look into his life, or it doesn't matter. He showed tremendous courage, and maybe you can say it was recklessness in front of these guys with the guns pointed at his head, because I think that was the first shot. So that means they were pointing it like this, not like this. Well, not like this, they were like that. So probably he knew what was coming. No, I don't know. I don't want to imply things, but I'm just, talking about it. He looked very calm over there. He didn't look agitated. So I don't know. I don't want to imply that he was under the influence of anything or not. He sounded, fluent. No sloppy talk, nothing like that. So he was very aware of his fate over there. So saying that, and this is a different story than the guys, if you remember, at the Snake Island, the Ukrainians, the first day, I think, on 25th, when the Russians showed up with a warship at the Snake Island in the Black Sea, and they said, well, come out, surrender, and the guys in the Snake Island said, well, the famous "you" thing message, and then they came out with the hands up. Now I don't see that as heroic whatsoever. I mean, it is partly because the Russians could have acted the same way as these guys acted and just blew them out over there, in the little shack that they have. I mean, look over the pictures and you see there's nowhere to hide on that little rock. It's a rock in the Black Sea, and they have one little shack where they're located. One missile and everybody would be blown up. So they exposed themselves to that risk, and the Russians did not do it. And all those guys came out. Now the mass media, which was lying, said that they were all killed and they're all heroes and so on. Okay, I said, well, what can I say? Why didn't you fight? Maybe they did. And then I found out that actually they surrendered, then they were taken prisoners, and then they were exchanged, a prisoner swap, which is okay. I mean, you're saying that, as I said, you didn't know, like this guy, he said that, and let's say the Russians would not have reacted the same way, like they didn't react in the Snake Island to blow them up over there. Still courage. You say, you know what? So that is courage. That is nationalism, patriotism, loving your country, loving your nation. Unfortunately, this Timofey, or whatever his name was, 41-year-old guy, he ended up like this. The other ones did not end up like him. And it bothers me more because this is one person, and how many like him are there that we don't find out about, and I'm pretty sure they are. Remember that when the Russians were shot in their knees at the beginning of the war, those prisoners, the Ukrainians shot them in the knees and then they killed them. And then you remember those guys, the 12 Russians, I think, or 10 Russians that surrendered and they were killed while laying down because one idiot showed up from a house with an automatic weapon. They mowed that guy down and then they shot them all. I mean, that's why war is it's what it is. And I'm angry because the ones that are really, really responsible are doing just fine. And these guys are losing their lives, have families and so on. That's what bothers me. It's very unfair, but hey, this is life, I guess. So we pretend here to be, to having laws, enforce them, and be civilized and all that. But you realize that there are some over there who are going through life without being, having consequences, without being brought to justice. And I'm mentioning the Yugoslavia 1999 bombardment. That's what bothers me. So it's like if we are pretending to be this and that, international law, and we are the good guys, well, some people need to show up in front of a tribunal from that 1999. I'm not talking about the Serbians, the Serbs, or the Montenegrins, who were over there, the Yugoslavia at that time. But on the other side, which bombarded Yugoslavia without United Nations Security Council's vote, which made it illegal, made it an aggression, and by a group of countries, NATO members, I might add, the defensive alliance. Again, that blew up the idea of a defensive alliance. When you attack a country, it did not attack you. Anyway, that's the way it is. Sorry for this guy, and I'm pretty sure will happen again. Not with him, obviously, but others, and it happened with many more, unfortunately. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.